If you want to be as successful as Mark Zuckerberg, you should start reading the same books he does. 1. The Innovator's Dilemma by Clayton M. Christensen. Christensen explores the reasons why companies fail to innovate and how they can avoid this fate. One of the most important lessons from the book is that debt can be a major hindrance to innovation. When companies are saddled with debt, they often lack the resources and flexibility to invest in new ideas or take risks on new products. As a result, they become stuck in a cycle of stagnation, only able to make incremental improvements rather than true innovation. To avoid this dilemma, companies need to ensure that they have the financial resources available to invest in new ideas. This may mean foregoing short-term profits in favor of long-term growth, but it is essential for remaining competitive in today's rapidly changing marketplace. 2. The Structure of Scientific Revolutions by Thomas S. Kuhn. In his highly influential book, The Structure of Scientific Revolutions, Thomas S. Kuhn argues that scientific progress is not a gradual accumulation of knowledge, but rather a series of periods punctuated by abrupt and revolutionary changes. Kuhn debts these revolutions to the development of new paradigms, or ways of viewing the world. When a paradigm shift occurs, scientists must abandon their old ways of thinking and adopt a new perspective. This process can be painful, as it requires people to rethink everything they thought they knew about their field. However, it is also essential for scientific progress. Without paradigm shifts, science would stagnate and eventually grind to a halt. Thanks to Kuhn's insights, we now better understand how science really works and how it has been able to make such remarkable progress over the centuries. 3. Ender's Game by Orson Scott Card. This book tells the story of a young boy who is drafted into a military program to fight in a future war. The story is set in a time when the world is debt-ridden, and the main character, Ender, is one of many children who are sent to training facilities to learn how to defend the Earth against an alien race. The novel follows Ender as he goes through the rigorous training program and eventually becomes the leader of his team. The book ends with Ender leading his team to victory against the aliens, but at great cost. Many people have praised Ender's Game for its engaging story and complex characters. However, some have also criticized it for its violence and dark themes. Regardless, Ender's Game is a widely acclaimed novel that continues to be popular today. For The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy by Douglas Adams. Douglas Adams introduces us to a world that is both absurd and strangely familiar. The story follows the adventures of Arthur Dent, an unremarkable everyman who finds himself accidentally transported to a far-flung corner of the universe. Along the way, he meets an eclectic cast of characters, including Ford Prefect, an exiled alien researcher, Zaphod Beeblebrox, the narcissistic two-headed president of the galaxy, and Marvin, the depressed robot. Together, they battle Vogons, nihilistic bureaucrats bent on destroying the Earth to make way for a hyperspace bypass. Throughout their journey, they search for the meaning of life, culminating in a shocking revelation that changes everything. With its mix of satire, wit, and heart, The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy is a timeless classic that has delighted readers for decades. 5. The Lean Startup by Eric Ries. Eric Ries lays out a new approach to launching and growing a business. Rather than seeking to raise capital and scale quickly, Ries advocates for a leaner, more iterative approach. This means starting with a minimum viable product, learning from early adopters, and using feedback to pivot and grow. While this may sound like common sense, Ries's approach has been proven to work time and time again. And importantly, it helps to minimize the risk of failure by reducing the amount of debt that a startup takes on. In today's competitive marketplace, the lean startup provides a much-needed blueprint for success. 6. The Muhammad Ali Reader by Gerald Early. Gerald Early brings together a wide range of writings that offer new insights into the life and times of one of the most iconic figures of the 20th century. Through a combination of interviews, essays, and letters, Early provides a nuanced portrait of Ali that goes beyond his public persona as a heavyweight champion and social activist. Debt. In particular, the book highlights Ali's debt to the black nationalist movement, which helped to shape his political consciousness during the 1960s. In addition, Early explores Ali's religious beliefs and how they influenced his public statements and actions. Ultimately. 7. Creativity Incorporated by Ed Catmull. Ed Catmull makes the case that debt can actually be a powerful tool for creativity. By taking on debt, individuals and organizations can invest in new ideas and venture into uncharted territory. Of course, debt must be managed carefully, and it is important to only take on debt that can be reasonably repaid. However, when used judiciously, debt can be a powerful driver of creativity and innovation. As Catmull demonstrates, it can sometimes be worth taking a risk in order to achieve greater rewards down the road. 80-1 by Peter Thiel. In it, Thiel argues that debt is not always a bad thing. In fact, he believes that debt can be useful in certain situations. For example, debt can help to finance new businesses or fund research and development projects. Debt can also provide a way for companies to grow without having to raise large amounts of capital all at once. However, Thiel also warns that debt can be dangerous if it is not managed correctly. If a company takes on too much debt, it can quickly become overwhelmed and unable to meet its obligations. As a result, it is important to carefully consider whether or not debt is the right choice for your business before taking on any new loans. 9. The Hard Thing About Hard Things by Ben Horowitz. The Hard Thing About Hard Things is a book about the challenges of being a CEO. Ben Horowitz, the author, is a co-founder of the venture capital firm Andreessen Horowitz. He has also served as a CEO for several tech companies. In the book, he candidly discusses the difficulties he faced while leading these organizations. One of the biggest challenges was dealing with debt. Horowitz had to make some tough decisions in order to keep his companies afloat. He had to lay off employees, sell assets, and take on debt. These difficult choices were hard for him, but they ultimately helped his companies succeed. Debt can be a difficult thing for CEOs to deal with, but it is often necessary in order to keep a company afloat. The Hard Thing About Hard Things is an honest look at the challenges faced by CEOs. It is a must-read for anyone considering a career in business leadership. Debt should not be feared, but rather understood and managed in a way that is best for the company. 10. High Output Management by Andrew S. Grove. In his book, Andrew S. Grove discusses the importance of debt in business. He argues that debt is not always a bad thing, and that in some cases it can actually be helpful. Grove cites the example of a company that uses debt to finance its expansion. The debt gives the company the resources it needs to grow, and as long as the company is able to make its payments, the debt can be a positive force.